CASA, Community Action for Safe Alternatives, is presenting tonight's program. And incidentally, although this is the last day of August, September is Recovery Month. And during the course of September, there'll be several activities that CASA will be sponsoring, and I'll mention them throughout the evening. But tonight, this whole program was organized by two people, Kathleen Duffy and Linda Vecchia. And on that note, I would like to invite up Linda Vecchia, Vice President of CASA.
Hi, everybody, and thank you for coming. And thank God we have a beautiful night, nice weather. And last year was our first year we did this, and we had a great turnout, but it's already doubled. And it's nice to see people coming out and not feeling the stigma that we're all the same, we're all one person, we all struggle with whatever illness or disease or gambling or overeating. We all have a problem, and no one here does not have an issue or a family member that struggles with addiction. But we also do have recovery, and that is the best part of it. In the month of September, we have many events coming up, and Ron will explain that to you later, what's going on. But tonight is about remembrance to those who have had an overdose due to opiate addiction. And not everyone has been like opiates, and some have died from alcohol or health-related issues to drugs and alcohol. So tonight we have an array of different people to speak, from our Chief of Police, who's now our interim town manager, and we're very happy to have him here with us. We have Judge McDonald from the East Boston Courts, who works with a lot of kids out here, and adults have probably seen the judge in East Boston through different occasions, and he's a very caring man who believes in recovery and helping the person that's addicted to drugs, not lock them up. That's what we're trying not to do, because it doesn't do you any good. Sometimes you have to for personal reasons, or like if you really break the law, but putting more people in jail is not the solution. That's why we need more programs like CASA with our youth advisory group we have all over in the left. These are all kids who chose to join us because they didn't want to try drugs or alcohol, or might have had some emotional or family issues at home, and they wanted a safe place to go. So that's what CASA is about. It's about having a safe alternative from what is out there. We're all tempted from one time or another in our lives to drink, to smoke pot, or try a pill in your day, or cocaine, or whatever. It wasn't the right decisions to make, but a lot of us have tried different things, and people do drink alcohol, responsible. Not everybody can. Drugs at any time is not responsible or a thing to do unless you're on it because of a medical condition. But the problem we've had in the past is that too many doctors have prescribed too many drugs for long extended periods and too many pills. And that's where a lot of us have run into troubles with addiction. We got hooked on those Oxycontin or Percocet, and then we need more. And then from there you end up taking somebody else's, and then as you all know, it brings you down that spiraling road. So we'd like you to see that we're a community that has stepped up. We have amazing recovery coaches that work with our police department and with CASA and our health department. We're here to help you. We're also here to support you and your families. We don't want, as I have a daughter in recovery, and I'm very, very blessed, that I don't have to go to a cemetery. There's too many of you who have died because of this, and a lot of our families and us are hurting because of it. We've buried too many people too young and too old over drugs and alcohol. So I ask you to reach out to everybody that's here, look at a face, think, I'm here because of a reason, or I just want to know what's going on. But I want you to know that you're not alone. It's a no stigma. Just because you came down this path does not mean you can't get out. And with the help of good programs and support from families and friends and town people, we can help you. It's not easy, but it can be done. And we have a mix of people here from the Meridian House that are in recovery programs. Some might have been there a few times, might be their first time, and some may not make it this time. They may have to come back again, but it's okay. Don't ever, ever give up. So I will give the mic back to my husband, Ron. I'm looking at Mike. That's Mike over there, Dugan. So just enjoy the program. We have some very good speakers, emotional speakers who have lost a family or friend or in recovery themselves, and some great music from people here that just wanted to come out and help and support the community. So once again, thank you and enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Linda. At this time, it is my honor to introduce our own Winthrop Police Chief / Interim Town Manager, Terry Delahanty.
Thank you, Ron, and thank you, Linda. It's an honor being here tonight. I usually speak after the judge, and now they elevated me up because of the interim town manager's position. So the only time I'll get a chance to speak before you, Your Honor. But I also just want to thank you for your commitment to helping the town of Winthrop and the Winthrop Police Department handle the opiate crisis here locally. It is a great working collaboration between our recovery coaches, police officers, and the East Boston Court. Under your leadership, it certainly has been the strongest I've seen it in my career here, so thank you. I just also want to thank Speaker DeLeo and Senator Boncory, who's our legislative aides and representatives at the State House that help us fund these programs. Our normal budget process would never allow us to reorganize our health department, bring the peer coaches into the health department, and through the grants and the aid they give us, they're strong supporters of this program that we have in Winthrop. And also be remiss not to thank Chief Flanagan from the Fire Department, Sacco Georgiarian, my sergeant, who is the liaison. Thank you. Deanna Ferretra, Chip and Danielle. And this year, obviously, we made great strides under their leadership and the community's help, CASA's help on the reorganization. Bill W., I'd just like to read a statement from him. Community recovery is a voluntary process through which a community uses the assertive resolutions of an overdose-related problem or problems as a vehicle for collective healing, community renewal, and enhanced intergenerational resilience. Community recovery is more than a personal recovery of community members. It involves strengthening the connective tissues between those with and without such problems while restoring and sustaining the quality of life here in Winthrop. So we demonstrated what Bill W. wrote way back in 2013 this year by reorganizing the health department. It wasn't an easy task, but with the help of the counselor, Linda Calla from the Public Safety Chairperson, we have gotten it done. And thank you, counselors who are here, the town manager, who is now a consultant to the council for his efforts in reorganization. It was an important role, but we really, really took a look at ourselves, and we know helping one person is not enough. We have to help everyone. Thank you. Our program was highlighted in Atlanta last year at the National Drug Conference. Myself and Sergeant Georgiarian were able to present that as speakers. And from there, across America, came in the phone calls from Las Vegas, California, Oklahoma. How are we doing it? How are we setting it up? And how can they resemble the same program in their communities, either they're larger or smaller communities? So the program that we formulated here and worked so hard to get together, and it didn't happen in a year, it took several years, is being duplicated across America, and that's something that we'd be very proud of, all the people, the boots on the ground. Recently on Fox News, at the bottom, I saw the ticker going across, and it said, Washington's going to get harder on addiction. I just want to send a message to Washington, they have it wrong. We tried that here back in 2009 and 10. We got harder on the addicts, and we failed. It was a failed proposition. And that's when we started helping people and realizing that we were just recycling people through the courthouse in the police station, and we weren't making any progress. So Washington can learn from Massachusetts and the small town of Winthrop that helping people is more important than coming down hard on them. Governor Baker just submitted a Criminal Justice Reform Act that got tougher on dealers and not on people who are users. That's very important. He should be applauded for his actions. In that submitted bill, distributors of drugs that leads to death will and can be charged with manslaughter. That's what should be happening, to send a message to the fentanyl dealers that are killing our children and our residents here locally and across America. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight.
Thank you, Terry. For information about Narcan, you probably heard about Narcan on the news. Healthy Streets, a representative from Healthy Streets is here, so if you have any questions at all about Narcan, please visit the table. At this time, it is certainly my distinct pleasure to introduce the first justice of the East Boston District Court, Judge John McDonald, Jr. Judge.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is John McDonald, and I'm the first justice of the East Boston Courthouse. And as you know, we have the jurisdiction over not only East Boston, but more importantly tonight, the town of Winthrop. When I came here, it was just so nice to see so many familiar faces. It's really extraordinary working in the courthouse in East Boston and to come to a community event like this and to know so many people. And that tells me the efforts we're making and collaboration again with the town of Winthrop are working, because there are partnerships that are being formed, and there are different agencies and different people that are all working together in collaboration for the same outcome, and that is to save lives, period. Over in East Boston, we have a drug court, and we also have a process called Section 35s. And I guess the message I want to deliver to all of you today, who isn't familiar with the courthouse, is that the courthouse is there for you. It's your courthouse. It's not my courthouse. It's not anybody's courthouse, but it's the people's courthouse, and that means you. Whenever a family member or anybody else in your family has a drug issue, you should bring them to court. Court is a place where you can get help. Court is not a place where you should avoid. It's not a place where everybody is going to jail. It's a place where we're able to help save lives and get people on the recovery track, which I think we've been successful to do in light of all of the great collaborations we've been able to make. As I was sitting there listening to the chief, I was thinking really what I was going to say, number one. But number two, I thought of a story that happened last week in our drug court. We had an individual who was being arrested probably 2 years since I was there, all drug-related crimes, and he's been on the drug court now in East Boston for approximately, I would say, 5 months, with 5 months sobriety. And last Tuesday, he got up and he had an opportunity to talk, and he took his opportunity, which is a difficult thing sometimes for people in recovery to do. And I asked him how his week was, and he said he had the best week in his life. And I said, what did you do? And he told me that he didn't tell me, but he told the whole courtroom with pride and water in his eyes that he hugged his father for the first time in 5 years. And that's what we're doing at East Boston, bringing people together and families together through recovery. So please, when you walk by the courthouse, come in and introduce yourselves if you need help. If your family member or friend needs help, come into the courthouse and ask for that help. I promise when you go to that courthouse, you will get the help that you're looking for. And just finally, I want to thank everybody and the organizers of this event for inviting me to attend and to speak. You know, it's such a great honor to serve in the courthouse, the communities of Winthrop and East Boston. And it's even more of an honor to participate in events like this. I just think they're terrific, and I think more communities should be following your lead in this regard. And I would be remiss if I didn't finally just acknowledge the support that I've received as first justice in the East Boston Court from your legislative leaders, specifically Senator Boncory and Speaker DeLeo. They have been incredibly supportive of the drug court effort and the Section 35 effort and really the battle against drugs. And then likewise, Chief Delahanty, I have to say, he was one of the first people that I met when I started, and we both agreed that during the time that I was going to serve this community, that drug prevention and drug awareness and getting resources for people who are addicted and suffer from addiction was going to be our priority. And he kept that promise, so I'm very happy to be able to work with him and the entire community here in Winthrop. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now we're going to have a selection by John and Lori Watkins and friends. John?
Our friends are love today. Don't delay. Send yours in right away. Don't you know that hate's going round, breaking many hearts? Stop it, please, before it goes too far.
Chip, Danielle, come on up here. These two partners in crime are the face of recovery, and they're here to talk about their story and how they're making a difference today. Welcome.
Hi everyone, I'm Danielle Fernikes and I'm one of the peer recovery coaches here in Winthrop. I'm nervous, it's much bigger this year. I'm overwhelmed and I'm humbled and full of gratitude to be here and be a part of this team. You know, I look around these faces and these are all the faces that helped me, find my way. I'm in long-term recovery as well, and when I came to Winthrop 7 years ago, I was a 90-pound, hopeless, helpless, broken person addicted to heroin, and I came to Winthrop and I found my people. I found recovery, I found God, I just found my people, and having this job and working with people in this field, it's like giving back to a community that loved me until I could love myself. So I don't even know, there's just so much I want to say, and I'm just so full of gratitude and overwhelmed. I look at the shoes over there, and it makes me think, like, why am I one of the people who's here? Like, why am I one of the people who got it and is able to help other people? This past year has been really, really difficult for me. I'm sure for a lot of people as well. We lost a lot of people to this disease, and it's heartbreaking, and it's hard. And it was a really, really difficult year, and the way that I tend to get through it is that I think about the people before me, and I think about the fact that, like, we can't have beautiful moments like this with hope and gratitude and love. We can't have these moments without the really dark moments. There would be no darkness, there'd be no light without darkness. And so that's what I try to do. I try to give back to this community and just do what I learned through recovery and walk the talk and guide other people. And if I can be that light for somebody else, like, that's what it's all about for me. You know, the greatest gift that I got through recovery is my son Benjamin. He's 5 years old. He's not here yet, but I think he's coming soon. And you know, one of my greatest gifts and my greatest challenges is to try and teach him about this disease and to raise awareness for him. Since he was born, I've been bringing him around to meetings and bringing him for outreach and teaching him and having an open dialogue with him about what addiction is. Because, you know, this kid, he has two parents who are addicts and have lived the life, this dark, dark life. And we know, and it scares me sometimes, but I know that if I keep showing him the way and having that open dialogue and teaching him, I bring him down to BMC and we feed the homeless, and he knows, and that's what it's all about, because this is the generation that's gonna actually be that change. And you know, Winthrop has created such a wonderful program. I'm so grateful to be a part of this program. All the people here, this is huge. Like last year, there was only a fraction of these people, and it just goes to show all the work we're doing. It's fighting stigma and creating awareness and teaching people about addiction. It's a disease, and we need help. And look, like we have it. I'm so grateful for CASA, so grateful for the chief and the police department and the health department and in this community. You know, it's just very grateful. And our cards are over there, and I'm going to pass it on to Chip because I'm going to keep talking forever.
Hi, everybody. My name's Chip McHugh, and I'm a peer recovery coach here in Winthrop. I'm also a person in long-term recovery. And what that means to me is that for the past, since 2009, I haven't found it necessary to pick up a drink or a drug. I also know that I just have today, you know. Before I start, I would like to actually acknowledge, and if you guys wouldn't mind helping me with a round of applause to the Youth Advisory Board. They're awesome. Nice. And it's really cool to be standing up here like aside the chief and the judge, and I'm not in handcuffs. It's kind of amazing. You know, there's people here contemplating recovery. There's people here with long-term recovery, and there's everybody else in between, and their allies and families. This mess is not over. There's a long haul left to go. The town of Winthrop has decided to hire Danielle and I and to restructure the nursing department, the health department. I think there's like incredible strides, and we're probably going to see that more and more communities start doing the same thing. So Winthrop has taken this huge lead and this huge like leap of faith, I guess, you know, and I just really hope that I hope and I pray that this is a success. I guess you measure it on how people are doing, and there's a lot of success going on right now individually. There's a lot of struggle. There's a lot of people like still clinging, you know, and people are dying as well. But there's still that hope for people who are still struggling, and I'm just really grateful to be a part of it. And I love being alongside my partner Danielle. I love this recovery community. I got sober here in Winthrop. This place has a big place in my heart. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. We're going to have a special presentation. We're kind of going out of order here for a certain reason. So at this point in time, I would like to ask Mary Lou Osborne, President of CASA, to come up for a special presentation. Mary Lou?
Thank you, Ron. Good evening, everyone. I was asked to represent the CASA Board of Directors at this event to say a few words about our dear friend and colleague, Nancy Williams. I probably first met Nancy many years ago when we were just mothers dropping our children off at the Dalrymple School. Since that time, I've known Nancy in many of her roles in Winthrop, primarily as the Director of the Council on Aging and President of CASA, but also as a mentor, colleague, and friend to so many. In the past year, Most of the conversations I've had with Nancy included our shared philosophy that whatever we're doing, the bottom line is kindness matters. Now, many people around the world recognize the butterfly as a symbol of some sort. To some, it symbolizes endurance or change. To others, hope or a new life. And today, as we release some butterflies in memory of Nancy Williams, I would ask that you also view them as representing the kindness that Nancy felt was so necessary in this world. I'd like to ask Nancy's family members to come up.
So what you do with the butterfly when we're ready, you're going to open up the bag, kind of tip it out onto your hand. Don't squeeze them. And then you'll put them on your hand and they'll start to open up, and then when they're ready, they're going to fly. So go ahead. In memory of Nancy and all of those that have been lost to addiction and health. It'll go. See? Yeah. It will. It'll go. Here. You got to go this way. Oh, it's still the. There you go. It'll go. It'll go. Come on. Is it going? Did you get a dead one?
I see our senator is here. Would you like to come up now? Say a few words? Senator Boncory, ladies and gentlemen, just arrived. I'd like to invite him up to say a few words.
Good, how are you?
Very good.
Good. Thank you, Ron, and thank you all for being here tonight in celebration of this very important day all across the Commonwealth. You know, I want to thank this town. I want to thank the organization of CASA under the work of Executive Director Amy Epstein, her entire board, Leanne, Chip, and Danielle, Officer Sarko, who represents so much of this community and so much of the police force, and him going above and beyond the average call of duty for a police officer. You know, it's so important tonight we recognize a person who was a pioneer in fighting this fight and setting so many people in this community on the road to recovery. Tonight when we released those butterflies, we did so in remembrance of a great person and a great friend to me, but a great friend to this entire town, and Nancy Williams. You know, Nancy Williams was a person who recognized an issue, rolled up her sleeves, and dealt with that issue. And that is so important. You know, I grew up in this town, and I can tell you for the longest time growing up in this town, when you walked around and talked to people, they didn't recognize there was an issue here. They thought the problem was in Revere and coming over the bridge. They thought the problem was in East Boston and coming over the bridge. And it took time. It took the good work of Nancy Williams, the likes of Mary Ann Lounsbury, and so many other committed mothers in this community to say that we do have an issue. We do have an issue in Winthrop, but we're going to deal with that issue. So I'm so thankful tonight to be here with all of you in a culmination of recognizing an awful disease that's scourging our community and doing something about it. And that's what we do here. And what Nancy did, and what those mothers of CASA did, and what you all continue to do, is something that the Commonwealth has also recognized. The Commonwealth has recognized that there is a problem, but there is a path for recovery. I'm happy to report that in the past legislative session, we passed bills to criminalize the trafficking of fentanyl. We've passed bills to increase access to Narcan throughout the Commonwealth. That work in the last year alone has decreased overdose deaths across this Commonwealth by 5%. That's incredible work when you think of that. But there's more work to be done. Still in this Commonwealth, we suffer from 2,000 deaths, overdose deaths per year. And there's more that we can do. The Massachusetts fiscal year budget for 2018 recognizes that there's more to do. The Massachusetts budget from the Massachusetts House under the leadership of Robert DeLeo, our great representative, and Stan Rosenberg, President of the Senate, has dedicated about $150 million to fight this fight, which is an increase from last year. I'm so happy to report that with the work of Speaker DeLeo and myself, we were able to file a budget amendment to earmark $25,000 additional dollars to the CASA program in the town of Winthrop. We recognize the good work that CASA has done to combat this crisis through a strategy that covers all aspects of the continuum of care: prevention, intervention, and recovery that value the compassion that we all share. But it's still important to remember that we must remain on the offensive in this fight. We must remain committed to lowering overdose-related deaths, expanding the toolkit to serve this very vulnerable population, and continuing to do what we do here tonight, continuing removing the stigma around this terrible disease. I thank you all for standing up tonight and speaking out tonight, and I want to just thank those who are going to share their stories for the courage that they will display tonight. Thank you all.
Thank you, Senator. At this time, I'd like to call up the co-chair for tonight's event, Kathleen Duffy. She's also a CASA member and a secretary for a special reading.
Good evening, everyone. Kathleen Duffy, board member for CASA. A good friend of mine wanted to be here tonight to speak, and she cannot make it, so I'm going to speak for her. Hi, my name is Carrie, and I'm an alcoholic and an addict. My sobriety date is May 1st, 2016. I am unable to speak in person tonight because I'm following a dream of mine right now: dance. I love to dance. I will be going on stage to perform any moment. I've always wanted to take a dance class, and now that I'm sober, I decided it was time to conquer that fear. Fear, I have many fears to conquer, but just like my 12-step program, I take it one day at a time. I only have today. I can't worry about the future, and I can't change my past. I can only change how I react to situations today. I've learned that my behavior affects others, and that I can change my attitude so it doesn't. My friends say, nothing changes if nothing changes, and she is right. We have the ability to change anything within ourselves. I can't change past experiences. I can only learn from them. Recovery has shown me that the mistakes I've made and the things that I have done do not define me. I am not that person anymore. And if I was sober, I wouldn't have made those decisions. So I have to put the bat down, and I need to stop beating myself up for the things I cannot change. Well, at least I try anyway. Recovery isn't easy. It can be hard at times, but it is so worth the work. They say your worst day sober is still better than your best day using. This is so true. I've had to go through some hard times in my recovery. I've wanted to pick up, but I didn't. I know if you just don't pick up and ask for help, then you can get through anything. I'm grateful for those times because I know that I can get through them and still stay sober. I can't do it by myself. I need help. I've learned to ask for that help and accept that help. Both things are hard to do at first, but get easier as time goes by. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Danielle. Danielle helped me and so many others in so many ways. Danielle is always there for me, whether to talk, give advice, or even just a shoulder to cry on. I'm so grateful for the work that she does, and I'm grateful she is in my life. If you're out there now and you're listening, you are not alone. There are people and programs that can help. If you're coming back, stay, because being sober is so much better. Thank you, and keep coming.
Thank you, Kathy. The loss of a child, that's one of the biggest fears of an adult. Tonight we have a very brave young woman to approach the podium, Deanna Tedisco. Deanna lost her son Michael to addiction, and she's here to share a story with you.
Yes, can you? Thanks. Hi. When Linda first offered me a chance to speak tonight, my initial reaction was no way. The next day, I woke up and realized I had been hasty in my response. I have a life to share. In the early morning of June 19th, 2016, I got the call of every parent's nightmare. My precious son Michael was gone from this world. Much of what transpired, I don't fully remember. Shock, disbelief, fright. Michael had been off opiates for quite some time, and a little at a time had begun to put his life together. He and his best friend John had an apartment in Back Bay. He was working and making good money. Unfortunately, the insidious disease of addiction had manifested itself with alcohol. The week before he died, he had been in a detox for alcohol. His shame prevented him from telling me. He drank almost immediately upon release and was struggling with his demons. Instead of picking up heroin, he hung himself. My kind, generous, funny son gave up his struggle in a moment of desperation. The fallout has alternated between utter devastation and extraordinary displays of human kindness and generosity. I want to say as a parent to any young people struggling, your parents die with you when you leave this world. Nothing can ever fill the hole left where your child was. Heroin changed Michael's brain, and shame ended his life. Shame and silence go hand in hand. I will not be silent. I will not forget. How Michael died will not be his legacy. His legacy will be inspiring those of us who loved him to a higher purpose. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. And now some music by Jessica Santacroce.
To talk to you, my love, my sweetie, about our conflicting dreams, about all of my wants, my needs. I'm begging you to just listen, please. We made a vow till death do us part, but I need to listen to my heart. It's slowly tearing me apart. It's slowly tearing me apart. When I look at you, I see myself falling to my knees. To let you go is the last thing I want to do to follow my dreams. But we must face reality. The choice is really up to me. To let you go is the last thing I want to do to follow my dreams. I cannot lie to you or myself anymore. Even though it's you I adore, I just want different things. Please don't judge me. A glass of love on the rocks, will it be smooth if we're apart? Take a drink of destiny, your future might be without me. A glass of love on the rocks, will it be smooth if we're apart? Take a drink of destiny, your future might be without me. When I look at you, I see myself falling to my knees. To let you go is the last thing I wanna do to follow my dreams. But we must face reality. The choice is really up to me. To let you go is the last thing I wanna do to follow my dreams.
Jessica Santa Croce. Yeah, Eddie. Come on up. Everybody knows Eddie. He's got a story for you. Eddie's in recovery. Hold the mic, okay?
Yeah. My name is Eddie Barnacle. I'm in recovery right now. I'm in recovery. I just celebrated 7 years back in July of 2017. You know, it's been a long journey for me, but you know, I'm glad I made that journey that first step, because I can remember when I was having a problem with alcoholism, because I was a total wreck completely, because I don't know how I managed it. I don't know how I did it, but you know, this program AA taught me a lot, and recovery taught me a lot too, because I had to start believing myself. Cause before I can remember I didn't care about myself. I didn't care who I was hurting. The only thing I know now is I was hurting myself. But you know, thanks to this program, I've known Chip and Danielle for the last 7 years, because they've been a great influence on me. So we go to meetings together. We get, when I have a problem, thing is, I call people. I have my cell phone. I use my cell phone as a network, because if I get a problem with things, I'll call somebody. That's how I do. That's what I do. I have a network, sober network, because I know for a fact I do not want to go back out there. If I know I go back out there, I probably don't have another recovery, because 3 years ago, almost 2.5 years ago, I say this because I was diagnosed with stage 4 kidney cancer. Today I'm lucky to be alive. Because if I was still out drinking and all that stuff, I would be dead. I would be in the Winthrop cemetery. But you know, thank God I got the recovery and I got the strength to keep moving. Because I decided to get involved with CASA. I've been thinking about this for a while, and I talked to Danielle and Chip. I said to myself, I'm going to get involved with CASA. Because I believe this will help my recovery, and because I don't want to see anybody. To me, I'd rather help another human being, because the way help me out. Because you know, I believe in people. Because you know, this disease is sinuous and baffling. Because you don't know what the disease wants. You know, this disease could take anybody out. You know, one slip, that's it. You know, you gotta have confidence in yourself. I have confidence in myself. I believe in my higher power, and I also believe in this and I believe in CASA, and also I believe in my program, because you know, this AA and my program works. As you know, I do the best I can. I go to meetings every other day. I do what I can do, but that's what keeps me sober. You know, I'm glad I was able to speak tonight.
Thank you, Eddie. We're going to have another musical selection right now by Michaela Norris, student.
I they did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light. 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 I am not the mistakes I have made, or any of the things that caused me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind. I am light. 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 I am not the color of my eyes. I am not the skin on the outside. I am not the dreams that I left behind. I am light. 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 I am divinity defined. I am the God inside. I am the star, a piece of it all. I am light.
At this time, I'd like to call on Sophia Grayson. Sophia is a teacher, and she's here to talk about her dad, Stephen Grayson.
Thank you. Looking back, the day I recall is a turning point in my life. I see myself with my dad's suitcase in my hand and telling my mom that my dad, who I love so much, needed to get help. My dad was suffering from a devastating disease of alcoholism. On this particular day, I realized my mom and I had enough, and we needed to let go and let God take over from here. It took me 7 years later to realize what an extraordinary influence my father has had on my life. His daily struggles with the horrible disease of alcoholism has forced me into a life of watching and learning about this disease. When I am invited to join in on a party where alcohol is being served, I am able to stand strong and say no. I have been affected by alcoholism, and I'm fighting to make it stop. In every aspect of our society, alcohol is part of it. My dad was the key account manager for Coca-Cola and Frito-Lay. He was often out late at night entertaining his clients, which always was centered around drinking atmosphere. After much research on my part, I learned that Americans drink every year 432 gallons of liquor, 711 million gallons of wine, and 6 billion gallons of beer. After hearing these statistics, I made a decision at a young age that complete abstinence is the best way of curing alcoholism for me, a disease that has killed my dad. I realized that I possess an addicted gene like my father, and if I begin to drink, I will never stop. As I sat every day of my senior year by my dad's bedside, who was in hospice fighting to stay alive from the end stages of cirrhosis, I had many time to reevaluate my life. My dad, through this sickness of alcoholism, has taught me to stay strong, be true to myself, and be a leader, not a follower. My dad learned as a child to keep his problems to himself and pretend everything is normal. That strategy did not work for my dad. Therefore, I pledged to always find someone to talk to when I am in need of help. Being quiet is not a weakness, which is a trait both my dad and I possess. A quiet yet young, strong-willed person can still make a difference in a life, as I'm trying to do with being a member of groups like CASA. When I was told I had to plan for my dad's afterlife, I never thought at 17 years old I would ever have to do this or would be strong enough. I learned that I was strong because of being part of my dad's journey with alcoholism. My dad always told me that our lives are full of hills and valleys. These hills and these valleys in our life are there to help us to get us to our destination. The hills and valleys of my life were the ones that came from alcoholism and its effect on my dad. Someday, when I am on my hill and have become the person I want to be, I will yell down to the valleys of alcoholism and say, "You might have destroyed a wonderful man like my dad, but you will not destroy me." Thank you.
I just realized that we missed somebody out of turn. Mike? Mike Dugan. Mike's in recovery, and he's the founder of Wicked Sober. Got another block. I don't know how I missed it.
Don't worry. Thanks, Ron, for forgetting about me. I appreciate it. Just want to thank, first of all, for Lynn and Kathleen for the hard work putting this event together and just raising awareness. Recovery Month is such an important month to really get out there, really celebrate recovery, to help change the public's perception on how they see in this, being a disease versus a lot of people still seeing this as being a choice. I'm a person in long-term recovery myself. What that means for me is I've hadn't had a drink of drugs since April 14, 2009, by the grace of God. These events are always hard for me. I know there's a lot of people here, and there's somebody or a few people that they're holding in their heart tonight that they're thinking about that have passed away from this disease over the years. Even this year in particular. My aunt recently just passed away this year from an accidental overdose, and part of it's sadness, part of it's anger and frustration. She overdosed at South Station, and nobody helped her, nobody gave her Narcan, everybody walked past her, and unfortunately, her oxygen didn't get to her brain, and when we had gone to the hospital, we had to sit around and make those end-of-life decisions, which is not an easy thing for any family to have to go through. And when we talk about the accidental overdose deaths in the state, and we talk about numbers, we talk about over, around 2,000 deaths last year in the year 2016 of people that have passed away. We don't always talk about all the people that are left behind, the families, the fact that my aunt left 3 daughters, the fact that she's missed out on 3 births for grandchildren over the last year that she would have been part of, and the fact that most of these deaths, if not all of these deaths, are 100% preventable. Had the system not have failed her from time to time again. So, coming together like this, not being ashamed, raising awareness is important, and it's just as important as fighting for more resources out there for recovery, for long-term, recovery, to give people as best as chances possible to recover from this disease, because there's a lot of people here that are in recovery as myself, and the fact of the matter is that people do get better, people do recover, they do get well, and families do get reconnected because of that. So I'm grateful to be alive today. I never thought, when I was growing up that I would ever be, an addict, and it certainly wasn't a goal or a dream or something I strived for when I was younger. I started on opiates when I got injured in high school when I broke my wrist, and the solution to the pain was prescription pain medication. But I think it's very important to also mention that the experimentation started before that with alcohol and marijuana. You know, for me, that's where, you know, I started to experiment, and it certainly was a gateway drug. And I think it's important to have that conversation and bring awareness to that as well, especially with the recent changes in the state. But ultimately, when I got prescribed prescription pain medication and became hooked and became dependent, it was an easy decision to start taking heroin one day, to not feel sick, to not feel withdrawal. You know, and I certainly never wanted to have that label for a while, and there was a lot of guilt and there was a lot of shame that made me push everybody who loved and cared about me away. Because addiction really is a disease of isolation, and the opposite of addiction is human connection, and that's why it's so important for communities to come together, for people to, you know, step outside and really start building relationships, healthy relationships with others, and learning how to have fun and learning how to live a healthy lifestyle without having to drink and drug. And I'm very grateful for the people today that are in my life that help me every day live a happy and a sober life, that I'm happy to, you know, have 2 sons today and a wife, and actually be there for my family and be able to show up and be there to participate in things. And, you know, when we had struggled and went through that loss of my aunt, you know, I was grateful to actually be there for my family and sit there with my cousins and actually walk them through that process as a supportive, loving family member, versus in the past where I probably wouldn't have shown up. It would have been completely distant. So with that, I just want to, you know, think about her tonight and think about the many other friends and family members that I've lost, and also hold your friends and family members in my heart tonight as we pay respect for them as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Mike. We have another musical selection, Shannon Stimson.
I know the rest of the musicians didn't talk before, but I'm going to. I hope that's all right. I'm going to ask you guys all a favor. So, in the days and hours and minutes leading up to right now, I was really nervous about this performance not being perfect, because every performer wants to be perfect. Obviously, it's not going to happen, but that's what we want. And sitting and listening to this rally, I realize it's not going to be perfect, but that's okay, because life is not perfect, but it can be beautiful anyway. So the favor I'm going to ask of everyone here is to clap the beat along with me. Is that all right? Only if you feel comfortable doing it. It goes like this. I've got a secret for the mad. In a little bit of time it won't hurt so bad. And I get that I don't get it. It'll burn right now, but you won't regret it. You're not gonna believe a word I say. What's the point in drowning just another day? And I get that I don't get it, but the world will show you that you won't regret it. Little things, all the stereotypes are gonna help you get through this one night. But there will be a day when you say you're okay and mean it. I promise you, it'll all make sense again. I promise you, it will all make sense again. There's nothing to do right now but try. We'll listen to you cry. And I get that they don't get it, but you will burn right now, but you won't regret it. You're at the bottom, this is it. Just get through, you will be fixed. And I get that I don't get it, but I burn my way through and I won't regret it. little things, all stereotypes are gonna help you get through this one night. But there will be a day when you say you're okay and mean it. I promise you it will all make sense again. I promise you it'll all make sense again. I promise you it will all make sense again. I promise you it will all make sense again.
Our next speaker is Mary Ann Frangoulis. She represents Moore, and she too is in recovery. Hi, Mary Ann. How are you? Good to see you.
Hi, everybody. Well, I'm excited to be here. Sad for all the overdoses that have been happening too often, too long, and just so overpowering. But I'm so excited that you're all here together, supporting one another in a wonderful way. And thank you, Linda, for inviting me today. You're a powerful woman, and CASA is so powerful. And all of you, all of the community together, the families, the people in recovery, and all of the police, everything, the policymakers, this is fabulous. You could teach the world a few things. Yeah. And more. I am Mary Ann Frangoulis, and I do more. Massachusetts Organization for Addiction Recovery. Very excited to be here. We're all about educating the public about the value of recovery. Do you believe in recovery? All right, that's powerful. Yes, yes. And thank you, because you are all supporting recovery as you honor those who have passed before you. And I thank God for people who have spoken up. There was a time that Narcan was underground, and today, we're using it to save lives. And what we do is use our voices, as you do, to educate the public about the value of living in recovery, as I just said. I can remember, and what made me, as a person in recovery, I was working at a time, and some of you might not even know this, there was a time that insurance covered 28 days of treatment and more, no questions asked. There was a time when we all, worked together, but then that changed. And what changed was that insurance stopped covering. Doctors were prescribing more and more drugs. I can remember going to doctors and saying, "Doctor, please don't," I was a clinician, and "Doctor, please don't give this Valium to this person who is suffering from alcoholism, because it doesn't go together." Granted, there's exceptions, but that was happening, and then more and more people going to jail. So I want to thank Winthrop for helping to turn that piece around. I want to thank the policymakers for passing something called prescription monitoring and hearing our voices that we need to address that. And there's more of a focus to end what's called mandatory drug sentencing. And do you think that's a good idea? To be able to help people get help versus getting criminal charges. Unless, you do something wrong, you got to have that. But at the same time, we really and truly want to have our faces so that someday we're not talking about stigma. And every day we value recovery. And every day we don't have to think about discrimination. Is that a good vision? And so we use our voices to be visible and vocal, and our faces to be visible, and we're going to prove that recovery is valuable, and that's how we will be victorious. Isn't that great? Absolutely. And I hope that you will all come to our 27th Recovery Month Celebration Day, and that's September 20th. And as mentioned about the governor, we have a wonderful governor who supports recovery. He's going to be there. But most importantly, if you were there, that would be so fabulous. Yeah. And I see my friends from Meridian House. How are you? Very good. And they're all visible, vocal, and valuable. And I see these shoes over here. And I remember them last year, and they were given away, and that's visible, vocal, and valuable. And those are good things to have to take your recovery step at a time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marianne.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, Marianne!
As I mentioned when we first started, September is Recovery Month, and there's several activities that CASA is sponsoring. The first one is, other than tonight, is Saturday, September 9th. It's called Ballin' for Cause. It's a basketball tournament. It's going to be held at the Walden Street Courts at 9 a.m. start time. You can actually register online. It's actually folks in recovery playing basketball tournaments all day long. And then at night, there's a so-called Fancy Pants Recovery Dance at the Winthrop Senior Center from 6 to 11. Dinner, dancing, and fun for those in recovery. So that's coming this Saturday, September 9th. Brian Fisher, where are you? Brian Fisher has a story. He's also in recovery. Brian, welcome aboard, man.
Thank you, appreciate it. What's up, guys? I'm Brian. I am an alcoholic, drug addict, and also a person in recovery. I grew up in the town of Winthrop my whole life, so this is absolutely amazing to see. For me, when I grew up, there was nothing like this, you know. This town is amazing. It's beautiful, you know, and I think every town is like that. You know, it's the drugs and alcohol are definitely taking over a little bit. And that's the problem. You know, I'm pretty nervous up here. I talk a lot. Like, I love to talk, and I like to talk in front of people, but, like, I haven't done this in front of this many people, so I'm, like, sitting up here shaking, you know? And, but I'm feeling pretty good, and, like, I'm here to, you know, give hope to people who are struggling, you know, families who are struggling. It's definitely a passion of mine. I think thing that I'm meant to do is to help other people, you know. I work with autistic children. You know, I've been through my 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. I help people. I do what I can to give back because I'm here for a reason, you know, and that reason is you know, I have a loving God in my life and an amazing family that supports me every step of the way, and they're all here sitting in a line, and they're truly amazing. I have amazing people in my life. You know, I thought for a long time, like, I shouldn't be here. You know, I'm one of those people that are grateful for Narcan, you know, because they've hit me with it a lot. And, you know, I think about it every day. I have family members that struggle with this disease. I have friends that have died from this disease. I have friends that are struggling with this disease. And it's really a shame that they can't get it, you know, and for a long time, it upset me, it angered me. But what I can do today is to help those people, is to give them hope and support them through what I went through, you know, and what I still struggle with on a daily basis. You know, I've heard people get up here and say that, you know, it's a one day at a time type of thing, and that's what it is. You know, I wake up every morning and, like, you know, I can't say that I don't think about a drink or a drug, you know, but I could say that, like, I'm happy today, like, I'm joyous and free, and, like, that's what it's all about, you know. And my family's sleeping at night. You know, the best thing I have in my life today is that, like, my mom goes to bed with, like, no worries, you know, and she goes to bed knowing that, like, I'm safe and I'm okay. And, like, tomorrow's a new day, and, like, he's going to be okay when he wakes up today. And that's truly a blessing for me. So, yeah, that's what I got. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian. Kenny Pina. Kenny's in recovery, and he has a little, maybe a poem for us, man? All right.
Hello. Hello, everybody. My name is Kenny Pena, and I am an addict in recovery. So when I first came into recovery, I felt really ashamed, and I hid a lot behind my anonymity. And then I came to realize that, like, if I don't talk about what I went through, how can other people see that, you know, you can't recover and, like, life does get better? So I started this movement called the Addict in Recovery Movement, and it's on Facebook. And, like, I started putting my poetry up there, and lo and behold, people started commenting and sending messages. And I recommend anybody, please join the movement. Feel free to post videos. And here's my poem, You Don't Look Like an Addict. They say the funniest people are the saddest clowns. And maybe that's why I am the way that I am. Hiding behind a cliche Freudian mask to hide you from all the ugliness that lies beneath it. Sort of like Michael Myers, but instead of wanting to kill my family, only wanting to kill myself. I've hid behind the mask for so long that my beard grows through it. At times I fool myself and even start to believe it's the real me. And then, inevitably, somebody tells me that statement that fills me with a rage that makes me want to introduce them to the nearest wall. You don't look like an addict. Which begs the question, what does an addict look like? Because if you're picturing me with a belt tied around my arm and a loaded syringe about to inject my vein like a snake injects its prey with venom, then I've never fit your definition of an addict. But tell that to my mother. My mother that took me to every detox and would cry hysterically as I walked away because she didn't know if I would get it or if I would die. Tell that to my father that watched me scratch myself with knives because I was crawling out of my skin and would do anything to shed myself of it. Tell that to my siblings that watch someone they hate try to kill someone they love. Now imagine that I am both those people. Tell that to my nieces and nephew that watch me at every family function nodding off. The oldest one protecting the younger ones by saying, Uncle Kenny's just tired and let him sleep. Her innocence stolen from her eyes because she knows that there's something more, but is too young to put two and two together. Tell that to my friends, not the people I got high with, my actual friends, that I burned and manipulated so many times that the mere mention of my name sucks the energy out of a room like a black hole, leaving them to wonder just how many times a month does a person pay a cell phone bill. Tell that to me. Seriously, tell me that I don't look like an addict, that waking up every morning throwing up this brown bile that feels like acid as it climbs up your throat, that the only relief is the side of a pissy toilet. The bathroom floor feels like heaven compared to the hell that my body's going through. So excuse me if I don't accept your backhanded compliment. It's easy to see a diamond in the jewelry store and not realize that it was mined in a cave. What you see here is hope. What I've hoped for since April 11th of 2015. That's 2 years, 4 months, 20 days, 19 hours, 28 minutes, 31, 32, 33 seconds. That's 873 days, doing one day 873 times. How there are still days that I wake up with tears streaming down my cheeks because I've had dreams so vivid that I could taste the drip of OxyContin in the back of my tongue. And as the sun rays creep through the blinds and reach me, hope embraces me in its arms again, like a mother embraces its child that just had a nightmare and tells me it's okay. It was just a dream. The drugs can't hurt me no more. You don't look like an addict. You're wrong. I am one of the tens of millions of faces of the heroin/opiate epidemic. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenny. Thank you. Now, a musical selection. Elizabeth Cosley and Steve Tracy.
Someone told me long ago there's a calm before the storm, but I know it's been coming for some time. And it's over, so they say. It'll rain a sunny day, and I know, shining down like water. I wanna know, have you ever seen the rain? I wanna know, have you ever seen the rain coming down on a sunny day? Yesterday and days before, sun was cold and rain was hard, but I know, been that way for all my time. Till forever on it goes, through the circle fast and slow, and I know it can't stop. I wonder, I wanna know, have you ever seen the rain? I wanna know, have you ever seen the rain coming down on a sunny day? I wanna know, have you ever seen the rain? I wanna know, have you ever seen the rain coming down on a sunny day?
Very nice. John Duffy, where are you? You're up, man. Huh? We're on schedule, believe it or not.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm about to read all of the names of those that passed. Some of these are illegible. If I mispronounce it, just shout it out. I think it's important that the names be correct. Stephen Folbert, Christine Lyons, Billy Stewart, Tyler Runge, Mike Milano, Ashley Griffith, Tina Staples, Danny Vitello, Patrick Stowell, Cassandra Smith, Brandon Betancourt, Caitlin Ribe, Jacqueline Hernandez, Johnny Hernandez, Luzbel Rodriguez, Billy L. Junis, Cassandra Little, Isidore Brennan, Ashley Helberg, Sean Symes, Bill Mitchelson, Dave Du Bois, Zach Gies, Colm Sullivan, Paul Shirley, Michael DiVirgilio, Guy Frizzy, Greg Canavan, Joyce Jarvis Weber, Kenny Johnson, Jason Ciula, Joe Baker, Richard and Lisa Giarla, Thomas Williams, Bobby King, Carl Raffa, Damian Perez, Stephen Grayson, Anne-Marie Boudreau, Tim Graham, Mark Gillis, Carla Giamelli, Billy Tedesco, Michael DeMarco, Daniel Fermita, Nick Petralia, Lauren Mechelin, Beth Raymond, Anna Rivera, Christopher Genovese, Casey Washburn, Paul Magretti, Corey Collins, Anthony Forte, Vincent Silva, Vincent Rosa, Dominic Rosa, Christine Lyons, Angie Odessa, Jason Javoli, Joanne Duffy. And Joey Barry. Thank you.
I'd like to thank you all for coming. It's been a pleasure to be here. It's nice to see the support of the community coming together. It's a wonderful thing. We'd like to welcome some friends, Elizabeth Cardsley, Stephen Tracy, and Shannon Simpson. Going to do some singing with us. My forever friend Paul Soares is going to help us out and play some tambourine. And my buddy Ben behind us. Ben's going to play a little horn for us too. This will be a song you know, so please clap your hands, sing along. Let's have a little fun with this one, okay?
All the world over so easy to see. People everywhere just want to be free. Listen, please, listen, that's the way it should be. Peace in the valley, people got to be free.
You should see what a lovely, lovely world this would be if everyone learned to live together. Seems to me such an easy, easy thing it should be. Why can't you and me learn to love one another? I said, yeah, yeah, yeah. All the world over so easy to see. People everywhere just want to be free. Can't understand, it's so simple to me. People everywhere just got to be free. If there's a man who's down and needs a helping hand, all it takes is you to understand, to pull him through. Seems to me we got to start it individually, yeah. And I'll do unto you what you do to me. I said, whoa, 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 shouting from the mountains on down to the sea. No two ways about it, people got to be free. Ask me my opinion will be natural situation for a man to be free. Enough to make a mountain they can buy and see. Everybody's dancing, come on, let's go and see. Peace in the valley, now we ought to be free. Yeah.
See that train over there? That's the train of freedom. It's about to arrive any minute now. You know it's long overdue. Look out, 'cause it's coming. Right on through.
Whoa, what a feeling just come over me. Enough to move a mountain, make a blind man see. Everybody's dancing, come on, let's go and see. Peace in the valley, now we ought to be free. Peace in the valley, now we ought to be free. Peace in the valley.
Now y'all can be free. Thanks, guys. God bless.
Let's close this thing out and thank everybody for attending, all the participants, the storytellers. It was a great evening. Closing words, ladies?
We both want to thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoyed the evening. I hope you can walk away with this, with learning that we all care about you. We all want you safe. We all want your families to be together. Pray for those that have been lost. Pray for those that are still trying to find their way. And pray for those that have made it and working every day on their recovery. CASA is here for us. We're down for you guys. We're down the center, right down on Bartlett Road. You can get us on Facebook, Community Action of Safe Alternatives. We have a wonderful team of young kids and the staff members. I just want to thank my co-chair here, Kathleen. She was amazing. She helped out so much, and all of the CASA crew and the youth advisory kids were amazing. We're a very lucky community that we're really stepping up. As you can tell, we care about you, and we just want you all to live and have a healthy life. So I'll let Kathleen sign off for the night, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you all for coming. And just remember, we have control over our own peace and what we bring to the world. So when you go out tomorrow, think about what you want to bring to the world. Hope, no stigma. Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Ron's just going to read out our great sponsors that help for this event and for the next month. Just one more thing. Make sure you check out our events coming up. This is for the recovery community. A lot of great things happening, basketball and a dinner dance and everything else. So please stay in touch with us.
Thank you. Our sponsors this evening: Winthrop Charities, the Process Center, the Richard Smith family, Thomas D'Ambrosio Memorial Fund, For Kids Only After School, Elliott Whittier Insurance Company, Ed Cash, in memory of Michael Tedisco, the Jim Tiso family, Highland Real Estate, in memory of friends lost, in honor of hope, Tino Capabianco, the Delvanto family, the Steve Grayson family, Intelligent Labor and Moving Company, the Winthrop Marketplace, St. John's Episcopal Church, and Mary Ann Cash. Thank you all very, very much for sponsoring this evening.
Listen, I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help. I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listen.